Greetings, math fans. This is day 3, and basically it's called Systems of Equations, which you've done already, but we're going to get into some little more complicated ones, okay? So you're going to have more than just one answer like we had before. So actually I want to do, just kind of a quick review. We did it in the last video here as well, but a quick review of systems, just a real basic one. So if I had y is equal to 3x plus 2, and x plus y is equal to 14. You guys know I take that y and I substitute it there. So you get x plus y, and y is 3x plus 2, and that's equal to 14. So I solve for x, so I get 4x, combine like terms, 4x plus 2 equals 14. Subtract 2, this is the old stuff, right? 4x equals 12, and then divide by 4, so x is 3. Okay, and then of course you take that and you plug it back into the original problem, and so you get y is equal to 3 times 3 plus 2, so y is equal to 9 plus 2, which is 11. So my answer to this problem is 3 comma 11. Okay, it's pretty easy. So real quickly, I'm just going to do this other one here. If I give you, we did this kind of already last video, 3x plus 4y equals negative 2, and 2x plus 3y is equal to negative 1. Right? So you're looking at it and you go, well, I want to get rid of either the x or the y, and I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say, well, I'm going to probably get rid of the x first because it's just they're smaller numbers. Not that it's a big deal because they're pretty comparable, but remember, you have to make them opposite. So if this is 3x, that's 2x, I'm going to multiply this one by negative 2 and this one by 3. That's going to give me negative 6x and positive 6x, and that's going to cancel. So if I do that, I get negative 6x minus 8y is equal to 4, and positive 6x plus 9y is equal to negative 3. Okay, so that cancels, and we get y is equal to 1. So that's cool. Then I take that and plug it into one of the first two equations. It doesn't matter which one. So I'm going to plug it into a little smaller numbers for the second one. So I'll do that. So 2x plus y, so 3 times y equals negative 1. So I get 2x plus 3 equals negative 1, subtract 3, 2x equals negative 4, and divide by 2. So x equals negative 2. Okay, so my answer for this problem is negative 2, comma 1. Pretty easy, right? Okay, so that's the basics. Now let's get into something that's a little more complicated, because now we're going to have square terms in there, and you're going to have more than one answer. So I've got a few different types of problems to do with you guys. So let's do them. Okay, so the first one is, let's kind of do a basic one here. Okay, so my first one here is going to be y is equal to, try that again, 2x squared plus y squared is equal to 24, and x squared minus y squared equals negative 12. So a lot of these you're going to use, well, you're going to use elimination and you're going to use substitution. So you have to look to see what is the best here. Now if you notice, I got a y squared and negative y squared. This is definitely an elimination problem. So you can draw your line underneath here. This cancels. It's already set to cancel. It's pretty sweet. So 2x squared plus 1x squared is 3x squared. So right out there, 3x squared. 24 minus 12 is 12. We got to solve for x squared. So we're going to divide by 3. We get x squared equals 4. Take the square root of both sides. We get x equals, guys, I cannot stress this enough. You have to remember the plus and minus. It is so important. If you don't, you're not going to get the problem right. It's just what it is. So it's plus or minus 2. Because then what you're going to do is x is plus or minus 2. Then I need to substitute it back into one of the two equations, and I got to find out what y is. So I'm going to make, and you're going to see me doing this every single time. X equals positive 2, x equals negative 2. It's plus or minus 2. All right, and then you're going to plug it into, let's just do the first equation, 2x squared plus y squared. So 2 times 2 squared plus y squared equals 24. And you're going to solve for y. So 2 squared is 4 times 2 is 8. So it's 8 plus y squared equals 24. Subtract 8. So you get y squared equals 16. Take the square root of both sides. Y is equal to, again, do not forget, plus or minus 4. So technically, for the answer of x equals 2, I have y equals plus or minus 4. So these are my answers. I have 2 comma 4 and 2 comma negative 4. All right, now I'm going to plug in a negative 2 into the equation. So 2 times negative 2 squared plus y squared equals 24. Okay, and so negative 2 squared is 4 times 2 is 8, so it's 8 plus y squared equals 24. Subtract 8, so you get y squared equals 16, and then take the square root, y equals plus or minus 4. So again, for x equals negative 2, I'm going to get y equals 4, and for x equals negative 2, I'm going to get y equals negative 4. And these, math fans, are your 2 answers. Or sorry, your 4 answers right here. Okay? So that's how you do that problem. That's a substitution problem. Okay? So let's take a look at another one now. So y equals x squared minus 1 and y minus x equals 1. So this one is more like a substitution problem. So I'm going to solve, I can solve for y, but see, this one's already solved. So I'm going to take that y and I'm going to put it right in there. So instead of saying y minus x equals 1, I'm going to say x squared minus 1, which is that y, minus x equals 1. Okay? And then remember, when I see a square term, you're going to have to factor, guys. So I know right away I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, and I get x squared minus 2 minus x equals 0. Now I got to put it in the right order in order to factor it. So it's x squared minus x minus 2 equals 0. And then however you want to factor it, I'm not even going to do the factoring because there's a lot of different ways to factor that I showed you. You can use a factor box or whatever. But if I factor this, I get x minus 2x plus 1 equals 0. So x equals 2, x equals negative 1. So just like I did with the last problem, guys, make 2 columns. Okay, so I'm going to plug it back into, I can plug it back into this one I already solved. So y equals x squared minus 1. So y equals x squared minus 1. So y is equal to 2 squared is 4 minus 1. Y equals 3. So the answer is 2 comma 3. And then I put a negative 1 in there. I get y equals negative 1 squared minus 1. So y is equal to negative 1 squared is 1 minus 1. And guys, please be careful. When you square negative, make sure you get positive. Okay, so y comes out to be 0. So my coordinate for this one is negative 1 comma 0. Okay? So we got 2 answers for this one. These 2 answers. Okay? All right, let's keep going here. Got a different kind of problem. Okay, so the next problem here is going to be x squared plus y squared equals 74. And x minus y equals 2. Now, you can't use elimination here because you can't say y squared minus y and things cancel out. It doesn't work that way. It has to be a y squared and a y squared or a y and a y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for one of the variables on the bottom. All right? So I can do substitution. The easiest one to solve for is x because I can just add y to both sides. So you get x equals y plus 2. And then I just take that and I substitute it into there. So I get y plus 2 squared plus y squared equals 74. Now guys, it's super important that you FOIL this out. So y plus 2 times y plus 2. Please do not say y squared plus 4. You have to FOIL it out. It's so important. So I'm going to FOIL this now. I'm going to get y squared plus 2y plus 2y plus 4 plus my y squared that I have there equals 74. So y squared plus y squared is 2y squared. 2y plus 2y is 4y, plus 4 equals 74. So I'm going to, because I have to factor, I'm going to subtract 74 from both sides. And I get 2y squared plus 4y minus 70 equals 0. Right? And then I'm going to divide everything by 2. Clean it up a little bit. So I get y squared plus plus 2y minus 35 equals 0. Now I don't care how you factor it, guys, factor box or whatever you want to do, but it is 7 and 5, and it's positive 7 and negative 5 to give you positive 2. So you get y is equal to negative 7 and y is equal to 5. So what you're going to do is then you're going to see this. I'm going to cursor down here a little bit so I have a little more room. But I'm basically going to plug that y equals negative 7 and 5 into that equation. So I'm going to make two columns, and I'm going to say x equals negative 7 plus 2, so x equals negative 5. So my coordinate is negative 5, negative 7. And I'm going to plug a 5 into there. X equals 5 plus 2, so x equals 7. So that one is going to be 7 comma 5. Okay, and those are your two answers for that one. All right, I got just two more to do with you guys, and it kind of covers all types of problems that you're going to see. Okay, so like I said, just kind of be aware of these problems here. Okay, so our next one's going to look like this. Y equals x squared, and 3x equals y plus 2. So what makes sense here is it's substitution, right? It makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute that y right into there. Why not? So I get 3x equals y, which is x squared, plus 2. Then I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So you get x squared minus 3x plus 2 equals 0. Okay, I factor now. So it's going to be x minus 2, x minus 1. That's going to give me negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3, and negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. So x equals 2 and x equals 1. So we'll make two columns. X equals 2, x equals 1. And then you plug it back into the y equals x squared. Right? So y equals 2 squared, so y equals 4. So it's 2 comma 4. And again, y equals x squared, so y equals 1 squared, so y equals 1. So it's 1 comma 1. And those are your two answers. Okay, sometimes we had, 4 answers. Sometimes we had 2 answers. Sometimes we'll have 3 answers. In fact, let's look at our last problem. Okay, so a lot of times, like I said, it varies between 1, which are the first kind of problems, and then we can have, a lot of them have 2, and then some have 3, and some have 4. So let's take a look at the very last problem here. So this is going to be y equals x squared minus 4, and then y squared minus x squared equals 16. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use actually elimination here. I got to move this. You got to have it on the same side in order to use elimination. You can't just like eliminate from one side and the other. So I can't say x squared minus x squared. That's like a really, really, really bad thing to do. Okay, but I'm going to subtract x squared from both sides. So I get y minus x squared equals negative 4. And then I get y squared minus x squared equals 16. Okay, now I can line them up, and now you can see that one of them has to be multiplied by a negative 1 in order to get it to be opposite. So let's do that one. So if I'll get y squared minus x squared equals 16, and negative y plus x squared equals 4. Now I can draw a line underneath there and cancel these out. So I wind up getting y squared minus y. They don't cancel. Y squared and y don't even do anything. It's just you leave them with y squared minus y equals 16 plus 4 is 20. Okay, right away when you see a squared term, you've got to think factoring. So I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides. And I get y squared minus y minus 20 equals 0. Okay, I factor that. I get y minus 5, y plus 4 equals 0. So y equals 5 and y equals negative 4. So if you make two columns, and you're going to solve for x now. So I'm going to actually, let's use y equals x squared minus 4. So let me cursor down here. So I'm going to write this y equals x squared minus 4. So again, I got to solve for x now. So I'm going to plug in 5 for y. So I get, I'll turn around here. So I'll get x squared minus 4 equals y, which is 5. And I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So x squared equals 9, and then take the square root. So x equals plus or minus 3, which means I have two answers, right? Because x, for that one, x was, cursor up here a little bit more. Oh, I have it right here. Sorry. Okay, y is 5 and x is plus or minus 3. So I have an answer of 3 comma 5 and negative 3 comma 5. Okay, because y is 5 for both of those and x is positive and negative 3. So you put it in there. Let's do negative 4. So it's negative, or x squared minus 4 equals negative 4, right? So I'm using back to this equation. X squared minus 4 equals negative 4, which is what y is. And if I add 4 to both sides, I just get 0. X squared equals 0. So let's take the square root, I get x equals 0. No, there's no plus or minus 0, so 0. So I have an answer of 0 comma negative 4. So there are only 3 answers for this one. Okay? But that's basically what you do. I showed you 5 of the new examples and then also 2 of the old examples. But you got to look for substitution, you got to look for elimination, and then you got to solve. Okay, it really isn't that bad, but you got to be consistent about it. Don't forget to FOIL, don't forget to factor, don't forget when you do factor, everything gets moved to one side. Super, super important. All right? That's it, math fans. You have an outstanding day. Adios. Goodbye.